All right, man. We're gonna continue with part two of Giants Anunnaki folklore, and like I said on the last one, um, the words for giants in the Bible are Nephal, Rapha, and Geber. If we go to Genesis chapter 10, we go to verses 8 through 14. And Cush begot Nimrod. He began to be a mighty one in the earth, a champion, a mighty one. All right, he was a giant. Okay, before Yah, wherefore it is said, even as Nimrod, the mighty hunter before Yah. In the beginning of his kingdom was Babel and Erech and Akkad and Calneh in the land of Shinar. And that goes for what we had already said. And look at the places that he built. One important one is Mizraim, which is Egypt. Okay, and I'm quite sure that all these people were affiliated with giants too. And I'm pretty sure Nimrod was a giant too. There's no question about it. All right, in verse 14, and Pathusim and Casluhim, out of whom came Philistine and Caphtorim. And if he's dealing with Philistine, which are the Philistines, which is where Goliath came from, which they were what? Giants. So this dude Nimrod was a giant. He was he was the first dictator of the world, and he was a giant. Plain and simple. All right, so Nimrod, he's 13 descendants from Adam. He's the sixth son of Cush. Look at this, look at it. 13, 6. Look at the symbolism there, man. 13 and 6. Imperfection both ways. You can read about it in Revelation chapter 13, the Antichrist, Deuteronomy chapter 13, talking about a particular person. You can also look at Acts chapter 13, the child of the devil. So something was wrong with this dude, Nimrod, man. And we know Nimrod was a builder. We would say in modern day terms, he was like a mason. He was a builder. He built the pyramids, kind of like a zaggurat, but he built the pyramids. He built all that stuff because scientists today are still trying to figure out how somebody can build something that big but be that concise and perfect in building it, because they didn't have the technology back then. You know what I'm saying? So you Egyptologists, you guys tell me something like that, man. You guys are worshiping fallen angels, man. Anubis, Osiris, all that stuff. That's all paganism, man. That's all demon worship is what it is. That's what you guys worshiping. All right. The Rephaim, they were giants. They was in Ashtaroth. Ashtaroth happens to be Isis, Venus, and Ishtar. And the other giants, when you look in the Bible, look at the Rephaim, look at the Zuzims, look at the Emims, and even look at the Horites, in which Esau took over that land of the Horites, and those were giants in that land too, Horites, and the Edomites took over that land. So let's go to Numbers. Let's go to the book of Numbers. We're in chapter 13, verse 21 through 25. Numbers chapter 13, verse 21 through 25. All right. All right. So they went up and searched the land from the wilderness of Zin unto Rehob, as men come to Hamath. Read that in Jasher 83:35. And they ascended by the south and came unto Hebron. So we see here Hebron, which we're going to find out in later on what Hebron really is. Hebron was a haven for giants. And they ascended by the south and where Ahiman, which also means land of the giants, Seshai and Tamai, the children of Anak. And see, you already have Anak right there. Anak was definitely giants. Now, Hebron was built 7 years before Zoan in Egypt. So we know Egypt was teeming with giants. You know, they say they want this knowledge of Egypt and everything, man, but they say, well, I want to follow these people who have this knowledge. Well, you see what kind of knowledge they was getting. They was getting it from the fallen angels. All right. What else does it say? And they came unto the brook of Eshcol, and cut down from thence a branch with one cluster of grapes. And they bare it between two upon a staff, and they brought other pomegranates and other figs. So you mean to tell me these two brothers, 6 foot, 6'2", whatever, they got clusters of grapes on their shoulders. The grapes were that big. It took 2 dudes to get one cluster of grapes. Because if you're a giant, you have to eat big. Everything about you has to be big. The places where you live has to be big. The things you eat got to be big. And this is what they were scouting out. They were scouting out this land, and it was flowing. They had huge stuff because they had to sustain these giants. All right, you ever seen Star Wars, George Lucas? Who was the young Darth Vader? What is his name? It's not a surprise. His name is Anakin, right? It's not a surprise, man. Star Wars, if you look it up, man, look it up on YouTube. That stuff is demonic as I don't know what. You know, these Hollywood elitists already know this stuff. These Freemasons, you know, what they're trying to do is build this hybrid thing, man. From heaven, from here on earth. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to, as in the days of Noah, they're trying to bring back these hybrid things to give you salvation, you know, that you can't get sick anymore. They're trying to duplicate this. All right, so let's go to 1 Kings chapter 11, verse 25. 1 Kings chapter 11, verse 25. Well, 1 Kings, yeah, I think it's chapter 11, verse 25. I think I wrote that down. And he was an adversary to Israel all the days of Solomon, beside the mischief that Hadad did. And he abhorred Israel and reigned over Syria. All right, so we're talking about Rezon. If we read verse 23. And God stirred him up another adversary, Rezon, the son of Eladiah, which fled from his lord Hadazar, king of Zobah, and he gathered men unto him, and became captain over a band when David slew them of Zobah. And they went to Damascus and dwelt therein. And he was an adversary to him, you know what I'm saying? So, this guy, he was a fierce adversary. This guy, Rezin, and he was a giant. This guy, Rezin, was a giant. So, you ever read, what is that dude name, man? Albert Pike. He's like this Freemason Satanist dude. He had a thing called Ahiman Rezon. The book, forgot what the name of his book is, but the name of his book is Ahiman Rezon, and what that signifies is that he hates Israel. Like I said, read back in Numbers 13, 21 to 25. Look at Ahiman. He was a giant. Rezon was a giant. And the thing is, when you look in this book that Albert Pike had, it's called the Ahiman Rezon. Now you know what it's about. It's all about this seed, man. The seed of woman and the seed of the serpent. So I'm going to go back to that as I continue on through this, man. All right, so we go to Numbers chapter 13, verse 28 through 29. Numbers chapter 13, verse 28 through 29. Nevertheless, the people be strong that dwell in the land, and the cities are walled and very great. And moreover, we saw the children of Anak there. So there you go, Anak, Star Wars, Anakin. These dudes were tall, man. The Amalekites dwell in the land of the south, and the Hittites, and the Jebusites, and the Amorites, they were tall too, dwell in the mountains, and the Canaanites dwell by the sea and by the coast of Jordan. So we see the Amalekites, giants, Amalek. What does Malek mean in Hebrew? Angels. These were fallen angels. They had these were Geber, man. These were giants, man. Throughout the whole Bible, you're looking at giants. When you read this Bible, instead of reading it all boring and stuff, look at it again, man. These are dudes. Like when you see Lord of the Rings and like epic tales like that, these dudes get this straight from the Bible, man. This is like real stuff, and just like in the book of Revelation, just like in the days of Noah, it's going to happen again. You see all this new stuff coming out. They try to change your genetic codes in your DNA, trying to take out certain things in your DNA, replace, oh, this causes cancer. Let's take this out and replace it with something else right here. So receiving that mark, I think it could mean a variety of things, man. It could be like letting them change the structure of your genetic code, your DNA. It can mean actually getting a chip. You know, that chip can like do things to your DNA. Just be careful. All right. So we're on chapter 3. We're on Numbers 13, verse 30 through 33. All right. So, and Caleb stilled the people before Moshe and said, "Let us go up at once and possess it, for we are able to overcome it." But the men that went up with him said, "We be not able to go up against the people, for they are stronger than we." Obviously, they doggone giants. And they brought up an evil report of the land which they had searched unto the children of Israel, saying, "The land through which we have gone to search it is a land that eateth up the inhabitants thereof, and all the people that we saw in it are men of great stature." So these are people like you and me. If we went through this land, these giants will consume you. They would eat you like a snack. And there we saw the giants, the sons of Anak, which come of the giants, and we were in our own sight as grasshoppers, and so we were in their sight. Do you see this? When you're watching these films in Hollywood, these epic tales, these battles and stuff, and you see these giants in the movie, this is real stuff, man. This is what's going down. The Israelites look like grasshoppers to these giants. That's how tall they were. That's how big they were, man. They look like they look like grasshoppers. The Israelites look like grasshoppers to these dudes, and that's why these dudes was going around saying, "Man, we can't beat these dudes, man." You know, you sitting up here, you got Caleb and you got Joshua, and they wasn't afraid to fight. You know, they was gonna go to the end. That's why the Most High made their ass roam around for 40 years. They wasn't gonna see it because they were scared. Anyway, I went over time. I'll catch you on the next one. Shalom.